Hey, it's Andrew here at BTO Range in Conroe, Texas. And today on the bench we have a little gun from Spain. It's the Astra Model or Modelo 1921, otherwise known as Model 400. And we don't do a whole ton of milsurp stuff, but this one is a pretty cool little pistol, has a decent history, and it's kind of worth talking about. So this gun is from the company Astra, which was, the company actually started out as Esperanza y Unceta in 1908 in the Ibar region of Spain. Two guys, Juan Esperanza and Juan Unceta, were machinists, had various patents, made a bunch of stuff, but they had some firearms background as well. So they formed their company in 1908 there in the Basque region of Spain, along with a ton of other gun makers at the time that were producing copies of Smith & Wesson revolvers of various quality, copies of Colt revolvers, copies of certain automatics of differing quality. Some were okay and some were very much not okay, but Astra, as well as a couple of other Spanish companies, survived by making decent quality stuff. And that was one of them. So they started out in the gun business anyway. And they moved to Guernica in 1913, where this gun is marked as being from. So the Spanish military had been using a pistol called the Campo Hierro, the model 1912-1913. And Astra, or Esperanza and Unceta, began making some improvements to that pattern gun, and they began making another type of pistol called the Ruby, generally a type called the Ruby, as many other makers did as well. And there was some success in selling those around to France and to other countries. And we have some still pictures of these guns that we'll put up as well. So they proceeded along with that. There was a designer named Pedro Carriaga that was involved with a lot of those design improvements and involved in the design of this gun. This gun came about when King Alfonso XIII of Spain announced that they were going to be trialing for a new pistol to replace that Campo Hierro pistol, an improved version, if you will. So the Campo Hierro's exposed hammer. This does have a hammer that's enclosed underneath that slide there. So and those are all Pedro Carriaga improvements to the Campo Hierro design. So those Spanish trials took place in 1919, lasted through about 1921. So Astra put this pistol into the trials, and a few other people did. The primary competition was from Bonifacio Echeverria, what would become the Star Model A pistol. And this gun proved to be accepted over the Star and became the Spanish service pistol with the Model 1921, which is what this gun here is. So the chambering in this gun is 9mm, but it's not 9mm Luger. It's not 9mm Parabellum. And this is a common problem or a common confusion that we see with this particular model. This gun is chambered in a cartridge called 9mm Largo, L-A-R-G-O, 9mm Largo, or 9mm long, which is identical to the 9mm Bergmann Bayard cartridge. And what it is not is 9mm Luger. Now, these guns are known to accept, chamber, and fire various different cartridges in that 9mm family. Obviously, 9 Largo, 9mm Bergmann Bayard, same cartridge. People have successfully chambered and fired 9 Luger out of it. People, you can chamber and fire a 38 Colt automatic out of it. 38 Super will fit, but we'll talk about that in just a second, why that shouldn't be done. And some people, I think, have even successfully fired 380 ACP out of it, but none of those are good ideas for a host of reasons. So And there's also the 9x23. Basically, 9 Largo is a 9x23. So there's a 9x23, 9x21. None of those really should be fired in this gun. This is not a locked breech gun. It is a blowback gun. This entire thing is a slide, so it's fairly heavy. And there is a substantial recoil spring that's around this barrel underneath this slide, and that's what's controlling the slide's rearward movement. So any of those super high pressure rounds like 38 Super is known to crack slides. Certainly the 9x23 Winchester would crack slides. Some of those other IPSC style long case 9mm cartridges are not appropriate for this pistol. So people have fired 9 Luger out of it. 9 Luger is loaded to a higher pressure. It also is problematic with headspace because the case is 4mm shorter than the 9 Largo case. So the only thing that would be holding it is the extractor against the breech face. So generally not a good idea. 9 Largo ammunition can be hard to find. It is loaded from time to time. There are some smaller independent type loaders that provide 9 Largo. The cases can be found that can be hand loaded, so there's really no reason not to use the correct ammunition in this gun and not just try to use 9mm Luger because somebody on some internet board said you could do that. It's just not a good plan. So anyway, back to this gun. So after those trials and this gun being adopted by the Spanish military, they were supplying there were Republicans and the Nationalists, and this is getting into the Spanish Civil War, and the Republicans and the Basque government were being supplied with these Astra guns until the bombing of Guernica occurred. And then during the Spanish Civil War, it ended up the Republicans didn't win it. The Nationalists won the Spanish Civil War, and Francisco Franco became installed as ostensibly the dictator of Spain, and he lasted for quite a long time with that, well into the 70s, I think. But I think it was 75 when he finally was gone. But in any event, then after that Civil War, 1937, then it was being supplied by to the nationalist troops, right? So, and then there were other versions of that. The people that had been making the gun were producing copies of the gun that are marked differently. There's one marked Ascaso, A-S-C-A-S-O, and then there's another one marked Valencia, which are copies of this gun made by the now exiled or down low or not mainstream, I guess, Republican troops or Republican factions there. So there is a very particular serial number range on these guns that were supplied to Nazi Germany in the 40s. It's a known serial number range, 92851 through 98856, according to my notes here. Those serial numbers were supplied in Nazi Germany. And the reason the serial numbers are so important is because it's very common to find them not acceptance marked. You won't necessarily find, now a lot of them you will find the acceptance marks on it, but not necessarily so. But if you have the gun with Nazi eagles that are outside the serial number range, then somebody got a stamp and did that. Unfortunately, people will do that. So by the 1950s, Spain moved on to another design, and from the mid-50s to the mid-60s, a lot of these guns were surplused out and sold and exported, and various companies in the United States imported the guns and sold them on the surplus market back in the good old days when that was done a whole bunch and the guns were super cheap. So let's take a look at this particular gun. This is a very early gun. It's a 4-digit serial number in the 3600 range, which makes it probably first or second year production. And there are some marking differences that we can tell aside from the serial number that this is an early gun. In 1926, Juan Esperanza left Esperanza and Uncetta left Astra, formed his own company. And not long after that, the name of the company changed to Uncetta y Compañía, and it's abbreviated Uncetta YCIA on the gun, and even the logo changed. So let's take a look at that. Let's clear this gun out, and then we'll start handling it and taking a look at some of these markings. So this gun has a heel-type magazine release. So to clear it out, we're going to kind of tight. Remove the magazine out of the bottom. And then this can be the hard part on this gun because it's not a locked breech gun. It's a straight blowback, so it's all spring. You have some kind of slanted, there's not really a big shelf here on these cocking surfaces, and they're just serrated here. So we can pull it to the rear and look here, and it does have a hold open. Let's see if we can make that happen. So it will lock open after the last shot, but there's no manual slide release. So to release the slide now, if we were to reload it again, we would have to slingshot it, pull the slide back, let it go forward. This is a safety here when the gun is put back together, and it will also function as a slide lock. So anyway, the logos that we were talking about. So here we see, and it may be hard to get a handle on that, but the Esperanza y Uncetta marking here on the top of the slide. And after Esperanza left, it changed after about 1926, and the existing slides were used up. Then that would change. You would see the later guns would say Uncetta y Cia. And we do have it just says Modelo 1921, and the later guns would have the 400 in parentheses after that Modelo 1921. So on these horn grips, these are the earliest grips. They're a black horn material, and they have the older Astra logo with the E and the U. And the belief is that that's Esperanza and Uncetta, which kind of makes sense. But they went to E and then C on the later grips after Esperanza left for Esperanza y Compañía. So that way we're pretty confident. Number one, they're horn grips and not wood grips, which were changed out fairly early in production. And then we have the logo differences on the guns that would indicate that this is, in fact, a super early gun. Also, on Spanish guns, normally you'd be able to find a proof date code, either visible on the gun or sometimes they're under the grips. It's composed of a letter and a number, or a letter, a star, and a number. And those proof markings started in 1927, and this gun is devoid of those markings, so obviously it's a pre-1927 gun. So all that adds up, the logos, the markings, the lack of the date proof is all consistent with being an early version of the Astra 1921. So that's what we have here. So to take this gun down, and we'll do a take-apart video on this one, or at least a field strip video, it's a little different than some other models. There is a barrel bushing here. You can see that there is a bushing around that barrel right there where my thumb is. You're supposed to be able to use the tip of the magazine floor plate and push that in. That allows you to turn this bushing a quarter turn, and then the spring and the bushing will come off the front of the gun. Now it's compressed in there, and it's a big spring, so it's going to come off with a little bit of authority, so you have to be careful when you do that. And that will allow you to remove the barrel and then the slide from the firearm. And we'll do a take-apart video on this gun because it's a pretty interesting method of takedown on these pistols. So what happened to Astra after this, so in 26 they make the change with Esperanza leaving, and then World War II happens. In World War II, Spain was neutral, favored the Axis, as we said, but they sold some pistols to the Germans, and they also made a couple of versions of this gun also. They made the Astra 600, which is a shorter version of this gun, and it was specifically chambered in 9mm Luger for the Germans. That was the purpose and intent of the gun, was to sell that gun to Nazi Germany, and they sold a few of those, and then in 1944, when the Allies pretty much secured at least the southern aspect of France, Spain could no longer get the guns through to Germany. So then there were a bunch of those guns that were left. The contract wasn't fulfilled, and they were surplused out eventually. And you see those Inner Arms bought a bunch of them in the United States, and the advertising hype was an unfulfilled Nazi contract, and that's where you see a lot of those guns from. They also made an Astra 300, which was a smaller gun in 7.65 Browning or 32 Auto, and then the 9x17, the 380 cartridge as well. That gun was made from 1922 to 1946, the Astra 300, the small one. And you still find a lot of these on the market, or you see them on the used market now. So there were a little less than 60,000 of those Astra 600s, the 9mm gun, 9 Luger gun, a little under 60,000 of those made. 106,000 and change were made of the Astra 400 or the Astra 1921. So 106,000 sounds like a lot, and it's a significant number of guns. So these are somewhat fairly often found. But they stopped making them in 1950, this gun, 1921 through 1950. So after World War II, Astra survived. There were really only, after that Spanish Civil War, there were really only 3 significant gun makers left in Spain. There was Astra, there was Star, and there was Gavilando, who was making the Llama pistols. So those were the 3 that really survived. And there were a ton of smaller companies in that Basque region that really didn't survive that whole Spanish Civil War. But after World War II, we start seeing Astra producing commercial guns, the 4-digit guns, the Model 3000 to 4000, the Falcon. They were started into revolvers with the Astra Cadix, C-A-D-I-X, Cadix series of revolvers. And they rocked along with that as best they could until the 90s. And then both Astra and Star were having trouble, so they actually merged in 1997 and became a company called A-Star, A-S-T-R, or A-S-T-A-R, portmanteau, if you will, of the names Astra and Star. So, and that ended up closing in 2006. 2008, a Swiss company resurrected the Astra name and the Astra logo, and they produce guns today, an AR-15 variant called STG-4, I think, and then a 1911 variant called, I believe, the STG-11. They're not sold in the U.S. They're sold in Europe and Asia, but everywhere other than North America. I don't know that they're sold in South America. I believe it's all Europe, Asia, and Africa that those guns are sold. But they're currently in business now under the name of Astra Arms S.A., and they have a web presence and all that. But this gun, of course, is long gone. So parts are still there. There were enough of these guns made that parts still exist from cannibalized guns or guns that people have decided that they're just not going to make anymore. The grips are being remade, although not in horn. So if you have cracked horn grips, that may be a bit of an issue trying to find those guns. They don't really have a ton of problems. This spring, over time, can get weak. The big action spring, a recoil spring in there, and that needs to be replaced lest the gun beat itself to death. So there have been conversion barrels made for this gun. And those are an interesting project in and of themselves. So it is possible to find one. And they were made also in in very small runs of other calibers, like 30 Luger, things of that nature, as to where the big money would be. So what kind of money would you expect to spend on an Astra 1921 or Astra 400? Well, that is hugely dependent upon the three things we always talk about, right? The scarcity, the originality, and the condition. But there's also, in this particular gun's case, is it one of the Nazi guns, or does it have any special markings on it that would kind of set it apart? So a lot of these guns that went to Germany were highly decorated, engraved and plated, and used as presentation guns to high-level party officials and military folks, stuff like that. Any of those guns would have to be individually appraised and evaluated for authenticity. It would be more common to fake one than to find one, if you know what I mean. So, but a standard base model gun such as this, so they're all rust blued, and the controls were left in the white. So this safety, the trigger, those are left in the white and polished, just like you see here. The rust blue is correct. The barrel hood being polished bright is correct. These horn grips are correct and not cracked, which is a huge plus for this gun. So this is really in very nice condition for a gun of its age, right? This is another 103, 102-year-old gun that came into the range that we bought across the counter in a little group of guns. We do have an importer mark here, IAC. So it was imported sometime after 1968, or IAC got it sometimes after 1968. So you got to wonder where this gun's been living between 1921 and 1968, and what all it's seen and done. I wish there was a way to really come up with that. The extractors on this gun can be found, and where we see people having to replace these extractors, if we talked about using that incorrect ammunition, right? Somebody that had put 38 Super in one or 9mm Luger in one, and it had been firing any significant amount of ammunition with that. We can see some things start to happen. We can see these extractor claws break off. And then when we pull the gun apart in this other video, we're going to look carefully and show you where those slides tend to crack if people start using 38 Super in them. So the guns don't cost a whole big ton of money. I think the most, now if you were to find one of those highly decorated guns that were given to high-level Nazi party official or something, who knows? I mean, that would be thousands and thousands of dollars if it's real. But the Nazi marked guns can bring into the 4 digits, or the Nazi contract serial number guns can bring into the 4 digits pretty easily. But a base level gun without any particular markings, military or otherwise, is going to be considerably sub-$1,000, and a lot of times you see them top out in that $600 range as to what they actually bring. So unfortunately, a lot of people, you know, when they come in, they'll have a gun that they want to sell, and they say, oh, this is bringing $800 on, you know, whatever auction site they're looking at or whatever internet site they're looking at. And people just don't understand that there's a difference between what you ask for something and a difference as to what something actually sells at. You could ask whatever you want for it if you just want to keep it forever. So actual hammer prices on these guns tend to top out in that $600 range. So, and they can go higher and they can go lower based on condition. And this gun is a pretty nice condition gun. So, I mean, I would expect this gun realistically to be in that $400 to $600 range would be my estimation of it. So, not trying to sell it, that would be a violation of YouTube policy, so that's not what we're doing here, but people always ask, what do these guns tend to go for? That's my evaluation of it typically. And the way we do it is we look on some auction sites and look at actual prices that they've actually sold for in comparable condition, and then we base our buy value on that. I think that's really the only fair way to do it. So, interesting little history on this. Involving the Spaniards and the Spanish Civil War, and People tend to look down on these Spanish pistols, and there's really no reason to do that. They're not poorly made guns. People say the steel is soft and all this other business, and it's as well made as just about any other gun from 1921, 1922 that you're going to find, especially a European pattern gun. So anyway, it's the Astra Model 21 or Astra 400. A little unusual gun from our typical stuff, but we'll probably get back to the Remingtons, Brownings soon enough. If you like what we're doing, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We try to post stuff at least once or twice a week of various things. Hit us up in the comment section and let us know. If there's something you want us to take a look at, we'll do our best. Sometimes it's hard to get, especially if it's a super unique item that you're looking for us to talk about. It can be hard to get our hands on it. So that said, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next one.